You're welcome. Love is the way. And truth is what's watching. And innocence is the experience. So in these very innermost parts of ourself, and this balancing of who and what we are, and the experience of that this who and what is having, to me that's what the curiosity is about. It's not just one aspect. It's what is it like to know all three at once? To be pristine awareness, knowing only authenticity, only clarity. Seeing through everything, seeing everything just exactly how it is, knowing it from the inside. So here the experience is, that's what we are. This pristine clarity, completely authentic. Who we are is the being that arises out of that. It's what's being noticed. And, you know, all of these, this Trinity is very challenging to speak about, because you can't put one label on it. You can only know it from the direct experience, from having it revealed, seeing it for yourself, experiencing it for yourself, becoming curious about it, finding it for yourself. But I would say this quality of being, of who we are, is a loving presence. This loving presence is like a mirror to the truth. And that's why it's so authentic, right? The only thing out there is a mirroring of itself. So it's like when you're dancing and no one's watching, or singing in the shower. You get to try everything out. See what it's like. Because in this pristine awareness and loving presence, this being, right? You're the only one. So as we more and more approximate this truth and this love, as we become closer and closer to it, as it's more and more revealed to us, as we become more and more a finder instead of a seeker, this is how we are. Authentic. Knowing that whatever is being transmitted is what we're going to receive. And you get to try out everything. And it's an instantaneous feedback loop. As soon as something's sent out and it's received instantaneously, if it's not what's desired or not what's wanted to be experienced, or it's not what's effective, it's shifted. It's a process, and it's an instantaneous process. So, one way of putting it is love is the way, awareness is what's watching, and innocence is the experience. You can't say innocence is the experiencer, or love is the experiencer. You can't place that anywhere. It's either all three together, or you just leave it out. This is how we find the balance. We go from beings that are sort of dual-based to beings that are based in this trinity. It can't be either or anymore. It's all inclusive. And innocence is the experience, because love is the reflection and the truth is what's shining out. It's authentic. It wants to get to know itself. It wants to explore every possibility. That instantaneous response, right, to what's being noticed, it's being reflected in this loving presence, is completely innocent. It's innocent on its way out, it's innocent on its way back. So what I can say about the nature of life is it's utterly innocent. The experience of it is innocence. You can feel, sense, see, know that if this response, right, this loving response is instantaneous, and it can be shifted instantaneously, what's being sent out and what's being received, right? And it's completely innocent, then there isn't really any room in there for a problem. All problems are time-based. All ideas about problems are time-based. It has to be a process. But if there's just this instantaneous feedback loop going on with myself in this present moment, right now, if I'm speaking about having a body, and its awareness, and this loving being, and this innocent nature all here, right? And it's cooperative and interactive, fully engaged with life, with this present moment, and it's instantaneous. This is the only moment. Then there can't really be anything more than something to attend to. And if there's a way about it, if there's a way to attend to it, it's with love. Love is the way. And what's the experience of it, attending to it? Innocence. What's being attended to innocently arose. And if we're just being ourself, if I'm just being myself, right, I'm authentically attending to what arose. The nature of that attending is innocent. It just sees what needs to be done, if anything at all. And it's not even a sense of needing to be done, it's just a response. So, for this not to be the experience, there has to be something else happening, right? There has to be some sort of exerting of free will, some desiring of other than what's happening now. There has to be some sense of, I want more or less. And if there's a sense of, I want more or less, it's a subtle frustration or a subtle idea of, that is problematic. This could get out of hand. This could grow. This could go the wrong way. But our true nature as this triune being, where these three aspects are one and the same, there's just a simple seeing, a loving response, and an experience of both of those as being innocent. as far removed as we would get from that experience, right, is as far removed as we are from not seeing clearly and not responding lovingly. If the experience isn't that this is innocent, what's happening over there, what's happening here, the whole thing, if there's an experience of there and here or not, or past, future, whatever the experience, right, if it's not just seen as that's what's arising and I have the ability and capacity to respond, I'm responsible for myself, so I'm going to attend to what arises. To the extent that we're not having that experience, we're removed from not seeing clearly. Awareness isn't fully available. To the extent we're not having that experience, we're not responding lovingly. And either of these brings us back to the center, right? Seeing clearly gives us the capacity to respond lovingly. Responding lovingly will bring us back to clarity. Tuning into innocence will bring us to where those two are always meeting. So that's how these spiritual paths and religions really work. Mostly, they're usually shooting for one of these points on this triangle, this, I don't have a word for it yet, this triunal being. When you go up in dimensions, right, energy becomes more and more refined. Everything becomes more and more sensitive. And you'll reach a point where you'll pass through what I would say an absoluteness. And on the other side of that absoluteness, everything is obvious, that it has this triunal nature. It's just obvious. And it's obvious below that there's more of a dual nature. It's just a point where it changes. That's just the way it is. And somehow that's seamless. To exhibit this dual nature or this tri-nature, it's not like a gap, right? It's seamless also. So you can become enlightened to this pristine awareness, or you can wake up into your loving presence. And either one is just going to lead you to the other. And once the other is found, once the other is known, once the other is embodied, it's going to reveal this innocent nature, this innocent essence, this innocent relationship, this innocent experience. So for me, tuning into innocence is the simplest. It's something we're already acquainted with. Most of us, most human beings aren't even acquainted with what we call unconditional love. We haven't really experienced it with others, with ourselves. Many of us are terrified of this pristine awareness, where it seems like our identity fails, our identity doesn't exist. It's impersonal. But innocence doesn't frighten off that part that's attached to the identity. And it's part of its nature to be loving. It's just curious and playful, and where those two meet it's already loving. And we're already acquainted with it. We find it all over the place. So just tuning into that innocent nature that's already here, that inner child, brings us right to the meeting place of love and wisdom, and brings us right to the meeting place of presence and truth. It brings us right to the precipice of where we can step into that can't be spoken about. It has just inherent in its nature this loving presence and this authentic clarity. And in its nature, there's a curiousness to investigate that and to do it playfully. So there's a endless spiraling and spiraling, a coordinating of truth and love. You could also maybe say that awareness is what realizes itself, right? It realizes. And love is what awakens. Love is what embodies, vitalizes. And innocence is what acts. Innocence is what actualizes. So when we're seeing clearly and responding lovingly and curiously and playfully engaging with this, what's here, this moment, right? We're actualizing it. It's becoming real. We've become part of God, the instrument of God that's making the creation of God real. We're bringing existence into existence. Wherever you go, wherever you travel, where this center point of your individualized being is, then you're actualizing a pathway through time and space. It's becoming actualized. So for me, if there's a mastery, that's it. To be actualizing and to be conscious of it, to be aware of it. You want to talk about co-creating, right? What could be more co-creative than actualizing what's been the thought that's been emitted, the what's been lovingly attended to step in it and bring it to life, to remind it of its own unity, to remind it of its own presence, to remind it of its own God self. So, being a human being, right, on the earth, now, this actualization, this attending to what's here, means to be a good steward of the planet, to be a good steward of your species, of yourself, of your family, of your environment. It's reminding it that it doesn't need to be anything else, that it's already all that it could be. It's already more than it could have ever imagined. It's like if you were going around and touching everything and it's, it like lights up in an LED. Everything comes to life just from your attention, just from your being. And it's all of nature, all of creation has been waiting in this plane for you to show up. It doesn't know it's waiting, it's just being. But as soon as you show up, as soon as you're present with it, as soon as you're actualized, it's the whole moment. It's everything you're sensing multidimensionally. Now there's a pathway to it. And the pathway is your life, is your existence, is your knowing of self, is your realization of truth, is your loving attention, is your innocent, curious playfulness. and it's instantaneous, right? When you're authentic, and there's no holding back. Why would you withhold from yourself?
Ooh.